And hello and welcome to the Sony Online Entertainment Webcast. Here today we're talking about EverQuest free to play and the hero's journey and a number of other topics. With me I have Alan Absor VanCouvering.
Hi all.
He's the assistant lead designer for EverQuest. I have Chris Dzarn Black, who is a designer on EverQuest.
Howdy everyone.
And I have Jennifer JChan, and she is the lead programmer for EverQuest. Great. Okay, so let's start talking about all sorts of things that are coming the players' way with the changeover. Some really fun stuff, I think. Jen, let's start with you. So we've had a lot of improvements with the transition to free-to-play. In navigating around Norath. Now there's a huge list of stuff here, so I'm actually going to have to read it off one by one, but let's go through them. Sure. So find tracking in the map window. That seems fairly arcane. What exactly does that mean?
So right now, when you bring up your find window, you have a list of NPCs, and you click on one, and a find path appears in front of you, so that way you can actually just follow the path and find that NPC. Well, previously, if you had your map window open, it wouldn't really tell you anything about where you're actually going. You'd just be blindly following the path. Now, in the map window, it'll actually draw the path that you're expected to take to get to that NPC right there in that window. So it's a nice little visual confirmation of where you're going.
Awesome. So, your path appears before you on your map. I can't think of any better way of getting around than that.
Yeah.
Okay, another item we have listed here is custom map directories.
Okay, so right now, when you patch, we basically blow away any files that you have in your map directory.
Okay, I'm going to dial this one back just a little bit.
Sure.
With the conversion to free-to-play, we're going to be giving every player all sorts of different maps of different zones in EverQuest. We've recently announced that we're going to be taking submissions in the near future of different maps that players can provide us that we will include with the client. Okay, so
to support that, we're adding in custom map directories. So what this will allow you to do is to make a subfolder, and there you go, drop all your maps in there, and so the next time that we patch, you'll get to keep whatever's in there, and we won't overwrite whatever you have. So you'll get to have what we provide. You can have another set of ones that your friends provide, and as many as you want. And it'll be all right there in the map window. You can just go, oh, I want Kyle's maps, because I like his maps.
Awesome. Well, actually, that seems really useful to me, because, a lot of times, if I were hunting in a zone, I might want to pull up one set of maps that has where the rare spawns are listed. But if I'm just traveling through the zone, I don't necessarily want all that information being displayed on screen.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of use out of that for players.
Yeah.
Cool. The third feature we have here listed is label searching.
Label searching, okay. So right now, bring up POK. It's a map with so many labels. I mean, it's like, I just want to find the port to Crescent Reach, through Blackfire Moors, and I can't find the stone. I'm looking at this map, and it's like, I remember it was somewhere over here. Now you can just go in and type in Crescent, and you can search for it, and it'll go, oh, you can click on it, it'll pop up in your window, and it'll be right there, instead of having to go, I remember it somewhere.
Well, that's definitely a handy feature, especially if you're traveling to a zone for the first time. You'll have a map. You can say, oh, I want to know where the POK stone is, and it'll pull that right up for you. Sweet. Okay, next one, right-clicking to bring up a wisp.
Sure. So, right now, bring up your map. There isn't really any way to go back into the world from your map to figure out how to get to a particular place on your map. You can run around a little bit and figure out, okay, this is where I am, and I want to eventually go here. So if I keep my map window up and just follow it, I'll eventually get there. What this will allow you to do is to right-click directly on the map, and we'll try to help you find a path to that point. So what will happen is you right-click, and a wisp will actually come up if there's a good path. It'll come up, and you can just follow the wisp.
Great,
Yeah.
great. That's also very, very handy. Zone connections to find window.
Okay, right now in your find window, you only really have NPCs.
Okay.
What this basically is we've gone through and we've added all the zone lines to the find window. So now you can just bring that up and go, oh, I'm looking for the, what have you, the bizarre zone line or anything like that.
There's definitely times I could think of that as useful. I remember the first time when I was zoning from Argath to Beast Domain, that's a little bit of a tricky zone line to find. And being able to just say, oh, I want to find Beast Domain zone line, huge, huge difference for people, especially people returning to the game.
Yeah.
Okay. And the final item I have on this list is the zone guide.
Sure. Okay, so this is really where the heart of all the navigation enhancements really brought about this. So the zone guide is this new window, new system that will allow you to go from your current zone to any other zone, and it'll actually find you the zoning paths to get there. And there's a number of things in it. You can like filter on golden path zones, you can filter on which continent, you can include your current bind location in, and you pick a zone, whether it's your current zone or a different zone, and you pick another zone that you want to go to, and you just click find, and it will find you a path. So that way you can just follow along that path. And it'll also bring up a smaller window, so that way you can actually track your progress on where you are in this path.
Very
yeah,
cool.
It's definitely a way to get from one zone to the other without having to go through and look through all these websites and call up your friend.
I will finally be able to find my way to Ashengate reliably. I can never remember. Is it the steps? Is it Direwing Cliffs?
Right.
You can retire your giant binder.
Hey, my binder's not going anywhere.
All right. Mine's on a shelf finally, so.
There we go. Okay, well that sounds like a big help for people navigating around Norath. I know that definitely one of the things people have brought up, over time is that, when they're coming back to the game, just finding their way around is a challenge until you refamiliarize yourself. So
Absolutely.
I think that this is a big improvement, and I'm really happy to hear about it. Cool. Okay, so the next topic we're going to talk about a little bit more in depth is some of the new tutorials that are going to be coming with free-to-play.
Yep.
So I'm going to bug Alan on that one. So when I came back to EverQuest after I had taken a break, I found the whole tutorial we have now very helpful. I got in, it was able to lead me back into game, it refamiliarized me with a lot of the systems. What have we done in addition, now that we're going into this whole new wonderful realm?
Well, the first thing we did was we locked a bunch of people in a small room, made them play the game, played through the tutorial, and we watched to see where they got stuck. So the first task was to find the original tutorials where they were missing steps, where they were hard to understand. Like, for example, the spell tutorial was extremely confusing to almost every single person who we ran through it. So we did some revamping in all the old tutorials. And then we created, let me count, 13 or so new tutorials to take place in the original tutorial, tutorial B, the second tutorial zone, because the first one is just a little intro. There's also some in Plane of Knowledge where there's an NPC that gives out a whole series of tutorial tasks for more advanced players. So like it covers how to send parcels, what tribute is, fellowships, guilds and guilds halls, AAs. Actually, I have a list, but I've actually not remembering them all. Power sources, things like that. So it's a pretty large number of tutorials.
That sounds awesome. I mean, because even for players who've been playing for a while, sometimes there are things that you maybe missed out on or never knew the little tips and tricks on.
Right.
I know that when I've sat in on the meetings for some of these discussions, I've learned new things about the game. So
in 13 years, you put in a lot of stuff, and not even I remember all of it. So it was kind of enlightening to sit down at the whiteboard and say, all right, what are the things we put in that we need to talk about?
Very cool. Cool. And so the tutorials you said will be available both in Plane of Knowledge and tutorial
The regular tutorial, yeah. We've added some. I believe we created, I'm pretty sure, I'm going to check with Chris here, we created an overarching tutorial thing. It's a simple quest that covers the basic stuff in the basic tutorial so that people are actually guided through the steps. So we've added a few things to that as well. And then a lot of the other ones went into Plane of Knowledge because they're not, a returning player who's played through, say, Planes of Power doesn't really need the basic tutorial. Well, they might, but if they don't, they can go to POK and get some of the more, they can learn what power sources are, which didn't exist back then. So,
Is there any way we're calling out these tutorials so that people will instantly know they're available? Or?
I assume community will help us out with that. There is a single NPC, a single point of contact to Plane of Knowledge, standing right next to the loyalty vendor. And her name, and this name will likely change because now that I'm trying to read it out loud, I don't like it anymore. She's called Sikalna, which is impossible to pronounce. So she's right next to the loyalty vendor if you want to find her. And she's real easy to find. I believe we're putting in some stalls and flags around her too, but I'll have to see the art first.
Very cool. Very cool. So now let's talk about the hero's journey. Now this is something that I'm a little bit excited about. I've heard a lot of really great things about it, and I'm going to turn this over to Chris Black. So Chris, what is the hero's journey?
The hero's journey is sort of our way to make the game easier to approach and play for both new players and current players. So, I mean, should I talk about...
Elucidate.
Okay. Elucidate. You and your big words.
I know.
Not hallucinate. Different thing.
Okay, so essentially what we've tried to do with this is take 13 years of content and create a way where we can present it to the players in a way they can understand. One of the problems I've always seen with the game is that, well, it's a problem and a feature, is that it's so massive there's always something to do, but a lot of the times you don't know what to do because you're overwhelmed. So what we hope to do with this is create a quest line from level 1 to level 85, level 90, where you will always have a clear goal on what you can be working on and what you should be striving to do to improve your character.
And I wanted to point out, we've sort of been alternating Hero's Journey and Golden Path. Those are basically the same thing. You talked about Golden Path zones. They're interchangeable as far as we're talking about. We went with Hero's Journey because it sounds cooler, but internally we've been calling it Golden Path, so you'll hear both.
Okay. So sort of how did you approach, going ahead and assembling the hero's journey? Now that Alan has me wanting to call it Golden Path again.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, we started with looking at, the defined path of quests we had starting in Crescent Reach that extends all the way through the Serpent Spine, really. So that's where it starts. You start in Crescent Reach, and I present all of the quests that are available to you, and I group them in semi-logical, as logical as I can be manner, so you can sort of do a set of quests and get a defined reward. So there's always some, clear goal for tonight is like, I can beat this quest tonight and, easily progress forward.
Very cool. Cool. So it's mostly existing quests. What have we done to make it more usable for players? I know you've made a lot of little tweaks and changes here and there.
Yeah, so the way I present the path is essentially a series of achievements where, say you're in Crescent Reach, there's 5 achievements, and each of those are like, do these 3 quests and get a reward. So like as you beat each achievement, you have a clear checkbox of, what I'm working on now, what I can work on later. And I'm really excited about that because, one, for new players, it makes the game a lot more comprehensible. I don't have to go look up on other websites or everywhere, what is available for you to do. It's, all presented to me in game, so it's easy to follow. And for existing players, I like it because you can go see all the content you may have missed. And then, I love completing achievements, so for me, I can go back and I can, feel good about myself because I have more nerd points.
Just to point out, to add to that, Chris also spent a fair amount of time modifying some of those older quests, because older quests are older quests, and making them, we're hoping there'll be a whole bunch of people trying to do them, and we made them more accessible. But, stuff that was hard to find is going to be easier to find, at least for the early levels.
I can elaborate a little bit on that. Essentially, I wanted the quests to be completable. There's an issue we had with a lot of level 1 quests where you could realistically expect to spend more than an hour or two for a reward that's good at level 5, but in an hour or two you're probably level 10. So I went ahead and tweaked a lot of the quests so that, if something was a 10-minute spawn with a 2% drop rate, I went, no, it's a 90% drop rate on a 3-minute spawn now. So it's a lot easier to actually complete the content as you level rather than not doing it because the difficulty does not merit the reward. So I tried to bring a lot of that in line all the way through about level 70, where at that point the difficulty and reward are closer to what's reasonable.
Okay. So I know you've said that it mostly takes place in the Serpent Spine zones. How far does the hero's journey take the player?
Starts at level 1 and will take you all the way through Seeds of Destruction, essentially. I've categorized most all of the content. As you progress through levels, I take you to the relevant zones. So at level 70, places like Dragonscale Hills and the Buried Sea, I had a lot of fond memories playing in that content. So I wanted to present areas of the game that I found the most fun. So beyond Serpent Spine, you go through Buried Sea, Secrets of Phagewar, Seeds of Destruction, and then from then on, I in addition to the essential progression quests, I added a bunch of achievements for sort of side quests that I feel are beneficial to your character. So completing things like the Dragons of North progression, I've made a series of achievements for so you can easily track what needs to be done to get each level of advancement through that. Depths of Dark Hollow, I categorized everything that's required to get the sort of clicky mask that's a fairly good item for the level range.
And the hand.
And Jonas Dagmeyer's hand, I created an achievement for that. So there are all of the quests required to complete, the augment collections in Buried Sea, Phagewar, Seed of Destruction. There's sort of a checklist of everything you can be working on. And I went so far as to include things like breakdown in communication for anyone crazy enough to be attempting that anymore.
Oh, I know we're going to take longer than you wanted, but you should probably also mention the book because it's going to happen and they're going to be confused.
Okay.
Or at least I will.
I think the book's a great idea, so I definitely want you to mention it.
Oh, it's already on your list.
Yes, it is.
Wherever
So
I am.
the first time that players log in following the patch where all of these changes go in, they'll find a book on their cursor and a pop-up window that they'll probably close and ignore. So anyone watching,
Don't do that.
yeah, I don't encourage it, but it'll happen. So this will all happen for new players as well when they enter Crescent Reach and anyone logging into the game. You'll receive a book and a little message explaining what it is. So essentially, it's a book you can click anywhere you are in the game, and it'll bring up a window, and depending on what you have completed, what level you are, what zone you're in, it'll present information relevant to what you should be working on. So say you're off in the Desert of Roe and you're level 10, you'll click and go, it would probably be a good idea to head to Crescent Reach or Blightfire Moors. And at that point, when you get there, the book itself will list all of the quests that you have yet to complete in that zone that are a part of the achievements, the NPC, and some information on where you can find them. And on that note, all the achievements, in addition to just listing the quests, they list the NPC where you can get the task itself. And all of the NPCs that are on the Golden Path tasks are now findable, so that they're much easier to just this is where I go talk to the guy to work on what I need to be doing.
I think this is just absolutely fantastic. No, I mean, I'm old school. I go and I start a character and, up through level 10, I'm, going through starter areas, then I'm going to, Unrest and Soul A and Lower Guck and then Howling Stones. But for somebody who just wants to jump in, who wants a very clear objective, who wants very digestible content, this now provides an option for that type of player too.
Right.
So both are still very available.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I mean, the last time that I played with a new friend of mine who started a character, I went ahead and just, actually went through a lot of the Crescent Reach content because most of the Golden Path zones have been flagged as hot zones. So in addition to just having good quests there, the experience reward is generally good too.
Very cool. Awesome. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a brief pause and see if there's any questions you folks have asked so far that the webcasters here think might be appropriate.
Or inappropriate.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
whatever's funny.
I prefer those.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, but one of the questions we had a while back was, are the progression servers still active?
Progression servers are still active. Much like any server, as a server ages, the population tends to spread more towards the higher level. But there's a lot of people playing on the progression servers. They're a lot of fun. They're always certainly an exciting time. You never know what's going to happen on them. I'm happy with the progression servers. I think they both develop their own personalities, their own unique communities, and they're a great place to go and play.
Why won't Absor smile?
I have never seen him smile. I've worked with this gentleman for over a year now.
there's one photograph.
Are you physically
You will
capable
never see-
of
no.
smiling?
Not anymore.
Okay,
10 years government work, right out of me.
there we go.
All right, can you tell us how many servers after free-to-play launches?
I believe we have 16 servers right now. That's what I want to say.
no clue.
16 is generally my lucky number. We have around 16-ish servers. There might be another one coming. I'm just going to hint about that right now.
You weren't giving us the finger. That was a 1, right? Okay. Just checking.
One more question?
Yes, so we probably will have one more.
Make it hilarious.
Because we're not.
Yeah.
No.
We're saying. Yes, sir.
Nope.
Well,
Nope.
will there be achievements for the tutorials?
Did you
That's a
add
good
any
question.
achievements to the tutorials as part of the Golden Path, or?
I'm going to go yell at David right now.
I bet we
'cause-
didn't.
Yeah, I'm betting we didn't. but-
Well, there's good parts and bad parts to not
Well-
adding achievements to the tutorials. Now, one of them is it's really hard to get back into the tutorial at
Sure,
high levels.
granted.
And I'm one of those people, if I don't have every achievement, I've done something wrong.
I absolutely understand that.
Yeah.
There's definitely an overarching task for it now, which is similar to an achievement. It wouldn't be hard to add one.
Yeah, we'll write that down and actually look into it.
Okay.
Eric will write that down and ask us to look into it.
And
Fine, I'll do it. I
last
have this
question.
thing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's free-to-play launching.
Well, that's a really interesting question. And to help answer that, we have Mr. Tom Fathom Terrazas here with us. So come on down, Tom.
I thought it was Fat Tom.
Ooh,
Oh.
That's going on your review.
assuming he even lives that
You want
long.
to scoot just a
Hello,
little bit
everybody.
in. I'll let you take my seat here.
All right. Well, no, I don't need to take your seat. So we thought it'd be generous to allow the designers here and Jen, the lead programmer, to decide when we're going to launch. So we're pretty open about when we want to go. It's it's kind of laid back here. So would anybody like to pick a date? I've got 3 different dates here. So go ahead, Chris. Go ahead and take one.
You take.
What?
You
Well, I
and-
don't want you to both take one because they get
Oh.
confused.
Oh.
So why don't
Just
you guys
launch
reveal
twice.
that date?
we can launch twice.
You
Why
can
not?
watch twice.
We can relaunch. Oh, no.
91E?
Anyway,
91E.
Oh, 316.
316, EverQuest's 13th anniversary.
I love how you cleverly left the year off that.
Good point. Good point. We're pretty
Well
smart
done.
about that.
Yes.
So, oh wait, this is a misprint. Same date. Same date. All right, screw up. So yeah, we'll go on 316.
Sure, why not?
Great, great.
There we
Yeah,
go.
everybody.
Bamboozled.
Okay, so we'll definitely be having an announcement posted about that shortly.
You're yelling into your mic, sir. Keep that up.
The EQ community's used to me. They know I'm too loud. And, it'll be a lot of fun. We'll have all sorts of information about the free-to-play launch still coming, and we have a lot of stuff going on with the anniversary. So thank you all very much for joining us. This has been a production of the Sony Online Entertainment Community Team. And have a good one.
Bye.
Peace.
Sony.